Hey health seekers, it's Kate Shomarani here, natural nurse in a toxic world. And it's that time of year again where we're told everywhere we go in the UK, get your flu shot, get your flu shot. And the vaccination teams are going into the schools and giving kids these flu shots up their noses. Now, I for one like to make true informed consent for anything that I have done to me. And true informed consent is when you're told absolutely everything about what's going to be done to you, including the risks and any adverse reactions, side effects, etc. And so I'm going to look first at my board that you can see behind me, and you'll see consent. And for it to be legal, it has to be informed. Consent must be informed. So I would like to inform you so that you can make a legal consent as to whether or not you have this flu vaccine. So let's get talking about it. You can see I've got lots of notes behind me, but that's to prompt me because there's a lot to get through. So first of all, let's look at the deaths from flu. We're told that thousands and thousands die every year from flu. And those at risk are the elderly and the young and those that are sick. And they're the ones that are actually offered this flu vaccine. Well, actually, the deaths from those, it's not from the flu itself, it's from complications such as bacterial pneumonia, heart attacks, and the elderly that have co-morbidity, they have lots of other illnesses going on, heart disease, lung disease, excuse me, I've got lots of cats in my house, and they have lots of other illnesses already and they're on loads of other medications. So those that smoke have a massive increase in death from flu, and flu from secondary bacterial infections. Passive smoking. So remember, all of your children, if they're in a household where people are going to smoke, they're at risk. So if they get flu, all of the studies have shown that these kids that passive smoke or people in smoking households have increased risk of complications or death from flu. So that's all your asthma and your cancer patients. The vaccinating of those with the flu vaccine does nothing to the death rate from flu. Absolutely nothing. But remember, both of these have compromised immunity. So should they even be getting this? So viruses make us sick. The actual viruses make us sick. That's what we're told. That's what most healthcare professionals, most lay people and doctors think. But it's actually our immune response to the virus that makes us sick. And it causes lethargy. We can't sleep. We get insomnia. We get irritable. And we get brain fog. And that's all sickness behaviour. And that's that sickness behaviour that comes when we're invaded by a virus. Now that lethargy and insomnia, irritability, brain fog is all classic of low-grade brain inflammation. So just digressing slightly from flu, when you have a cold sore, the herpes simplex virus, you get the blisters on your lips. So imagine that as a flower. That inflammation then tracks up the nerve and to the roots, which is in your brain. And there are studies that have been done now showing that keep having these cold sores, this inflammation in the brain, because I get cold sores and I get this headache, later leads to dementia. And this is why low-grade brain inflammation, if you think about AIDS, they get inflammation in the microglia, the immune cells in the brain, and ALS, and that all these pro-inflammatory chemicals, lipid peroxidation, cytokines, they ultimately destroy your brain cells. So when you keep having these infections, these viruses, you are going to get brain inflammation. So if we look at the flu itself, what's our body's response to the flu? Well, the virus will invade us, and then our body launches a highly coordinated attack. This fantastic vehicle that nature developed and designed doesn't just do it randomly, it's highly coordinated. It releases chemicals, cytokines, chemokines, interferons, immune cells, that's your neutrophils, your lymphocytes, your macrophages, antibodies and special proteins. And it releases all those to attack this virus, but it also damages surrounding tissue. It's like if you want to take out a specific target and you throw in a big explosive, you're going to have collateral damage. And that's what happens with these attacks. You will get collateral damage of surrounding tissue. Now it's called the bystander effect when you get the damage of that tissue. So once the invaders, that's your viruses, are killed off by this fantastic attack, it switches off. The immune attack switches off. When you have a vaccine, that immune attack does not switch off. So remember what I said about this low-grade brain inflammation that you get with viruses? When you have AIDS, the microglia constantly inflamed, ALS, and you keep getting destruction of the brain cells. Well, if you're having this flu vaccine and this response doesn't switch off, then you're just going to get more and more damage to your brain cells. It's just going to be constant. And that's what you do see with lots of inflammatory disorders. And then you start to see high levels of dementia. So people with immune disorders and weakened immunity, their immune response also is broken and it doesn't switch off. And then that kicks into a really high gear and continues. And then you start to see damage to your vital organs, your liver, your lungs, your brain. And then the death from flu is lower than actually this response, this cytokine storm where you're getting damage to all your vital organs. And that's what you see. And when I've seen that in my years in nursing, where it's literally a suicide. The immune response is so great within the body where it doesn't switch off. The body literally commits suicide unless it can be stopped by the medics. And often it can't. Now, 40 to 70% get no vaccine protection when they have this vaccine, and they'll pluck out a virus that they think is going to be the one of this season. Often it's not that. So you're having the vaccine, 40 to 70% have no response to this vaccine. It doesn't offer them any protection whatsoever. But you are going to get all of the side effects of what I've just talked about, where your own immunity doesn't switch off and you get this constant inflammation and this cytokine response and inflammation in your brain. So going up here about flu season, who's at risk? Who's at risk? Well, we know the elderly, the young, the immune suppressed, the cancer patients, and those that are ill. And they're the ones that are given this vaccine. It's the last thing they need. So what can we do in flu season? Well, we can do it all year round. We can protect ourselves. Like I say, what is flu season? But it's diet. Diet is the key. And that would be a natural diet, organic, no pesticides, no herbicides, no fungicides. They inhibit the uptake of vitamins and minerals from the soil. So you're already eating poisonous, toxic foods that are not nutrient dense. So you could eat an organic diet that's colourful, as many fruits and vegetables that you can put in it. Now, fluoride, in our household, we use a distiller, and that distiller takes out all the fluoride, the chlorine, the bromine. If you're having fluoride water still and you're having fluoride toothpaste, it's going to displace the iodine from your thyroid gland and your immunity goes down with it. So smoking, every cigarette you have uses up about 10 milligrams of your vitamin C. And as I've already said, smoking increases the risk of death when you do get flu. So you don't want to be smoking either. Having sugar switches off the immunity. So that's another thing. And sugar is in all processed foods. So you need to avoid that. I believe that sugar switches off the immunity for about 4 hours. Wash your hands. It's a very basic thing. If you've been out on public transport, you've been going down the rails, on the underground, the subway, think how many thousands of people have touched their handkerchiefs, coughed into their hands, touched the rails. Wash your hands before you come in your house, before you eat, when you've been in close proximity to lots of people. Vitamin C. Now, vitamin C in nature comes as a compound. It comes with vitamin P, which is all your bioflavonoids, vitamin J, which is the one that protects you against pneumonia. It comes with copper, and it comes with ascorbic acid. Now, your vitamin C, you can also take the liposomal vitamin C sachets, And they show the highest concentration of blood levels of vitamin C. Don't take your ascorbic acid, that's no good. You can get IV vitamin C if you already have cancer, and so therefore again you have suppressed immunity. High dose vitamin C has also been shown in studies to inhibit the enzyme that cancer cells secrete, hyaluronidase, which actually breaks down the cement that holds the cells together and allows the cancer to infiltrate. Loads of studies on vitamin C, so high doses of vitamin C. Think about the oils that you're consuming. If you're having a lot of these corn oil, first of all, it's GMO. A lot of those oils not only push oxygen away from the cell, but again, they're going to depress your immunity. So think about having coconut oil, flax oil, extra virgin olive oil, meat, which has high absorbable iron. It will actually worsen an infection. So if you're a big meat eater, or you're doing your keto wrong, where you're just eating loads of meat, then you're going to be more at risk, and it's going to make your infection, if you do get the flu, much worse. You should be having 10 servings of fruit and veg a day. And again, think about having carrot juice, organic carrot juice. It's full of vitamin A. And vitamin A is your immunity vitamin. I drink gallons of carrot juice. Your vitamin D3 with K2. In the winter months, I have 5,000 international units. And remember to get out in the midday sun. Even in winter, get out when the sun is directly overhead. There's nothing better than getting natural vitamin D. So the sun converts the cholesterol in your skin into vitamin D. Every single cell in your body needs vitamin D. It's actually a hormone, but every cell in it, your mitochondria, the little powerhouses in your cell where everything starts, they need vitamin D. So you can also take beta-1,3,1,6 glucan, 250 milligrams a day, times once a day, and that's an immune stimulant. Carnivora, that's from the Venus flytrap plant. 1 capsule a day. Again, that's an immune stimulant. Take your selenium, your zinc, your magnesium. I take that every day. I take 200 micrograms of selenium. I take 50 milligrams of zinc. I think it's something ridiculous, like 7 milligrams is the recommended daily amount for women in the UK, which is ridiculous. You need more than that. Magnesium. And then I've gone back down to liposomal vitamin C again. So these are all things you can do. Get lots of rest. If you're not sleeping enough, or you're going to bed really late because you're on your tablet and your iPhone, then your immunity is going to go down. If you're really stressed, again, that pushes your immunity down. We all have stresses in our life, be it work stresses, be it teenage stresses, be it any kind of stress, but try and limit it. Try and exercise every day. If you can't, go out for a great big walk outside, which is what I'm going to do in a bit with my yapping chihuahuas in the background. I go out and I do a brisk walk through the forest midday. So get lots of exercise. If you can't exercise and you're working all day, don't take the escalator in the underground. Run up the steps. You can do anything. In fact, short bursts of exercise like that has been proven to be much better for the heart as well. So all of these things are going to greatly improve your immunity. But that flu shot is not. And it's going to put your body under a lot more pressure. And that's not to mention the mercury in it. Thimerosal. It's a neurotoxin. It's going to go through the blood-brain barrier and settle in your brain, setting up more brain inflammation. It's accumulative. And it has no place in the brain. And it's in the children's vaccines. And even when they tell you it's not in there, it is in there. Now, there's just one last thing I'd like to say about Big Pharma, who's making these vaccines. So Big Pharma, they really have a hand in who becomes the medical elite. And this medical elite, once they're in, they have a hand in deciding what makes it to publications and what doesn't. And so you have a massive conflict of interest here. And even when doctors do know, or scientists, and they do have evidence to challenge what we're being told about these kind of things, they won't speak up anymore because their whole careers can be destroyed. They can be struck off. They can be, kicked out of their jobs. So who does that affect when actual truth is kept? It affects millions of people's health and well-being and can literally be the reason why they die. So it's important that we all protect ourselves. So I hope that was helpful. I've got some great interviews coming up, which I hope you'll join me for. If you'd like to know more about IV vitamin C, if you have cancer or any treatments for cancer alternative, you can go to gersonClinic.com. I'll post the link. My one-stop shop for all my supplements is genesishealing.co.uk. And please don't send me any messages about my makeup. I'll stick the link on the video as well. So have a good day. Remember, you are what you eat. Today's food literally does become tomorrow's cells. And no amount of exercise is an offset for a poor diet, because everything you need, nature provided. Thank you for listening.